Hey guys, Schweitz here with a mixing video. Today we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to a kick drum, especially one that's been square waved, to fill it out, make it feel good without having to overdo any one part of the process. I like to use a lot of stuff a little rather than a little bit of stuff a lot because I like to build the sound up naturally. Now, we're going to start with like some cool stuff, add some cool stuff. Then we're going to do some kind of obnoxious stuff just to kind of go around the whole range of things you can do to help a kick drum. Sometimes some of these might work for a rock song or a funk song or a blues song, and they'll work in a rap song or a pop song, but maybe we need a little more hype and energy in the pop or the hip hop song, so we're going to have some things we can do there as well. Hopefully you'll find it interesting, but we're going to dive right in. Unlike the other videos, I am going to talk while it's on. We're going to start and stop, but I'm going to play the kick drum. I'm going to pull open the compressor. We're going to go through it. And just so you know, my 5 things I'm going to show you today are going to be compression, EQ, and a couple of different parallel processing things, from filling in the kick, giving it a little bit more snap, adding a little butt on there, a little booty with a little sub, and then adding some energy on top of it to help it really push through, like, say, like a really in-your-face pop or hip-hop mix. All right, here's the kick drum. Oh, look at that. All right, here we go. And the first we're going to look at is this LA2A. And as you'll see when I put this on, I don't use a lot of compression because, like I said, I like to use things for the sound and the vibe they're going to give me and build it up from there. So, okay, here we go. And you can see I'm not hitting it very hard, barely doing a half dB. And this is really just to give it just a little bit of a, hey, I'm sitting here, check me out. Oh, and one thing I wanted to show you guys is look in here right here. I want to show you how square wave this kick drum came to me as, so that you know that what we're talking about. That is a pretty serious square wave, and as some of you may or may not know, when things are square wave, that information that would have been at the top of our sine wave there is gone. And a lot of the body and the punch and the push of the kick is in these regions, and you can hear how it's missing a little bit, and that's what I'm trying to add in here with what we're doing. Alright, and I mixed this a while ago, so here's a UA SSLE Legacy, and I'm just doing a little bit of EQ work and just a little bit more compression. Adding a little bit of that body in that we were missing. And then our trusty old Pultec UP1A, adding a little bit of 30. I like to add 30 than 60 sometimes because it helps 60 speak better than if you add 60. Sometimes it sounds a little muffled. I like to add it this way. And you can see right away that we've now built this kick drum up to make it be a little more in your face, but we haven't done anything unmusical, and we haven't done anything that made this kick less of what it was. I'm going to play it again. I'm going to bypass everything, put it back in, and then we're going to move on to the parallel processing part of this. Take everything out. Everything back in. And you can see we just bringing this thing alive a little bit, trying to give it just, a little more character than what it had and what that square wave killed us for. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to add in, because of the way that square wave, like we know this kick drum by the timbre that we're hearing had some lows on there, had a little bit of an ass on there, and it's missing. So I'm going to add that back in using the B sub. What is this thing called? Brainworks BX Subsynth. I love this thing. I use it on 808s. I use it on kick drums. And right now you're going to hear what this does for us. I mean, you can hear right away, that's giving it the ass back on this kick drum. You know it was there originally, and we just were missing it, so I'm going to put it back in there. And then obviously, because this is parallel compression, we can move it up or down depending on what's musically correct for the song. That you'll have to decide on your own. And if you guys haven't seen this BX Subsynth plugin, we'll break it down on one of the plugin videos, but this thing is really nice if you know how to dial it in. And also, I wanted to show you, see this right here? I'm adding the 60 in there. Instead of doing it with the EQ, using that 30 hertz as a foundation, because 30 and 60 are on the same harmonic overtone scale together, okay? So I'm using 30 as my bass, giving my 60 somewhere to go, and I'm adding a little 60 in here, and that's why it's really coming through. If I had put 60 up on the EQ P1A, we'd have a little stuffiness there now. All right, so the next thing I added in on here is the UA Precision Hertz limiter. I'm using this on kick drum. I'm adding a little 60 here as well. And if you guys aren't familiar with this, the A, B, C, D are all different things. D and all of them are for kick drums. All of these, A, B, C, D, all at the same time. You hold the shift key down to do that. Those give you like a really hype drum. I'm not doing that because of the other parallel compression. I'm just using the standard kick drum like maybe you might use on a rock song. Anyways, let's give it a listen. I'm going to mute the sub for right now so you can hear what this adds. Now I'm also using this to add a little bit of the low punch that we were missing. If you don't use this thing with these soloed here, if you solo both of these, you'll hear just the subsynth part of this plugin. But when you leave them out, you're getting a mix in with the original sound. Obviously, you can dial it here with the effect, and I like to use that to help give me a little extra punch instead of using a compressor to do that. So let's listen to it with both of them in. This is the UA Precision, and then I'm going to add the subsynth in. I'm going to mute Precision. See how those both work together to complement themselves? I could have achieved that with one of the plugins if I wanted to push and overhype it through one of those plugins, but I don't like to push plugins all the way to their max, unless of course they're intended to be used that way, simply because I'd rather build it up so that we're not getting that digital push in your face, you know, whereas you push it right before you maybe you hit a little digital clipping. I just prefer not to mix that way. And then so the last thing we can add in is just a straight up rock and roll parallel compressor type situation. I sometimes will put this maximizer on here, about 55% of the shape, and I like to turn the limit on. Sometimes I'll use that, sometimes I won't. And then I always like to follow it up with our good old trusty Fairchild 670. This just adds a nice little warmth to the drums that I just love. So let's listen to that kick drum, and I'm going to add it in. But first I'm going to start with this maximizer in bypass because that thing is ridiculous, as you're going to hear. Now I'm going to add it in. And once again, you can see I'm barely moving this compression. Okay, even in the full mix, that thing's not going to go more than a half a dB. I just, before you compress something, obviously the more tight, smaller, more compact it's going to get. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to enhance the sound. That's why I don't like to do that. And then just to show you the ridiculousness that is the maximizer, check this out. Here it is by itself. You hear that it adds, it's ridiculous. Sometimes it's what's needed, and now watch when we put this 670, it's going to kind of smooth the edges. You can hear when that 670 comes in, it almost like fills in the gaps like that on the kick drum. It kind of fills those in and mellows those out, rounds them out a little bit. So the nice thing with this, if you want it to be super aggressive and not be rounded out, you just take this off, use the maximizer, smacking it in the face. If you want to pull it back, maybe make it just a little more flavor, you're going to put the 670 on. Anyways, I think that's about the end of the video. These are 5 things that I like to do to a kick drum to help it stick up in a mix and really be its own character. I really love the low end to have its own character when I mix it. I hope you found the video useful. There's going to be more of these coming. Please click subscribe, like the video, keep coming back, and as always, happy recording.